करेंगे क्वांटाइजेशन ऑफ एनर्जी लेवल्स इनसाइड एन एटम से मुतालिक, so that we really know that what we are studying is not useless, it's prevalent in our daily lives. And the invention that we're going to talk about today has been around for about 50 years. In fact, in 2010 we celebrated its 50th birthday. So what are we going to talk about? Lasers. So we're going to talk about lasers today, and hopefully we'll finish this topic and move on to something very interesting. So lasers were first made in 1960, and the first laser was a ruby laser made by Theodore Mammon. But the idea for lasers was around in 1916, and the idea was in fact presented by Einstein. So Einstein takes credit for a large number of inventions, even though he was a theorist himself. And the laser is a ubiquitous invention. हर जगह मौजूद है, आपके घरों में, आपकी CD ड्राइव्स में, आपकी DVD ड्राइव्स में. डॉक्टर्स इस्तेमाल करते हैं उसको आई सर्जरी के लिए, क्लिनिशियंस इस्तेमाल करते हैं उसको कैंसर ट्रीटमेंट के लिए, फोटोडायनामिक थेरेपी की सूरत में. इंडस्ट्री में इस्तेमाल होता है वेल्डिंग के लिए, कटिंग के लिए. फ्यूजन रिएक्शन को इनिशिएट करने के लिए लेज़र इस्तेमाल किया जाता है. इट वाज यूज्ड टू फाइंड द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन द मून एंड द अर्थ. वी use it in the classroom all the time in the form of laser pointers. So lasers are really everywhere. All of fiber optical communication is initiated by a laser, which is modulated by an electronic source. So lasers are really ubiquitous. They're everywhere. They permeate our daily lives. And that's why it's very important to understand how a laser works. And this is directly connected with the idea of quantization that we've already studied. And the topic of lasers is beautiful in the sense because it connects the work of Planck, the ideas of Planck and Einstein and Maxwell and Boltzmann. So it is a very overarching concept. ठीक है, बहुत इसका वाइड स्कोप है लेजर्स का, और ये बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है. तो लेजर्स के बारे में अब हम बात शुरू करते हैं. और बात शुरू करने से पहले देखें, एक सिंपल टॉय मॉडल देखते हैं कि यू हैव टू एनर्जी लेवल्स. हमने देखा कि बोहर्स क्वांटाइजेशन के नतीजे में दी एनर्जी बिकम्स क्वांटाइज्ड इनसाइड एटम्स. Quantization exists in atoms, it exists in molecules as well. It exists in solids as well, even though the quantization in solids leads to not levels but to bands, but we'll talk about that shortly. But you have an atom or a molecule in which there are quantized energy levels. Suppose this is level 1, this is level 2. And the separation between these levels is given by a gap in energy. Suppose that separation is hf. Every energy gap is h times the frequency. We've already looked at this in the Bohr's model. Do you remember? All right. Now what happens if an electron is in this lower state? Let's call this the ground state, and the upper state, let's call it the excited state. Now suppose the electron is in the ground state and a photon comes in. We know that the photon is a particle. Okay, the photon is a particle and it carries an energy. So the wavy lines I'm showing as photons. A wavy photon comes in and it has the frequency hf. So what will happen? क्या होगा? इलेक्ट्रॉन ग्राउंड स्टेट में है, एक फोटोन आ रहा है, तो क्या होगा? एक्साइट हो जाएगा. इलेक्ट्रॉन अपर स्टेट में चला जाएगा और फोटोन की फ्रीक्वेंसी एग्जैक्टली मैच करनी चाहिए एनर्जी सेपरेशन को. ठीक है. सो दिस इलेक्ट्रॉन विल मेक अ ट्रांजिशन अपवर्ड्स एंड इट विल गो टू द एक्साइटेड स्टेट. इस प्रोसेस को हम क्या कह सकते हैं? एक्साइटेशन या एब्जॉर्प्शन. दिस इज एब्जॉर्प्शन. Now there is another process that we are all very familiar with. Suppose the electron is initially in the excited state. And this is the ground state. Will the electron remain excited forever? क्या हमेशा excited state में ही रहेगा electron? जरा जोर शोर से बोले, जज्बे से बोले, क्यों नीचे क्यों आएगा? Because the equilibrium state is the ground state. Every system wants to lower its energy. So if this state is empty, if there is no electron here, this electron will fall down to the ground state, and what will happen in the process? A photon will be emitted. A photon will be emitted, and the photon will have the frequency HF. Exactly the frequency HF. This process is called spontaneous emission, because it happens on its own. Spontaneous का मतलब बस खुद, ठीक है, खुद से ये photon emit हो रहा है. So this is the process of spontaneous emission, and these are well-known concepts. So in Planck's radiation, in cavity radiation, the atom is making transition between energy levels, and it is emitting photons into the cavity, and photons inside the cavity are being absorbed by the atoms in the walls of the cavity, and the atom is becoming excited. So that is what is happening in cavity radiation or black body radiation. So these are well-known concepts. But the ingenuity of Einstein, the remarkable mind that God had given Einstein, made him come up with a third process, with the idea of a third process. Let's see what that third process is. Many of you already know what this process is. But suppose you have an electron in the excited state, and a photon comes in with exactly the required frequency. Now what would happen? There is no higher state to which the electron can be excited. What will happen? You don't know. The electron, intuitively the electron should stay where it is, because there is no higher energy level at a gap of HF. But what Einstein proposed was that this electron, this photon acts as a stimulant. Stimulant के तौर पे काम करता है. और ये electron de-excite होता है. It falls onto the ground state because it is being stimulated by this photon. The original photon goes straight on. वो सिर्फ एटम को थोड़ा सा झंझोड़ता है और इलेक्ट्रॉन नीचे गिर जाता है और अपने काम से काम रखता हुआ वो फोटोन आगे चला जाता है. बट एनर्जी हैज टू बी कंजर्व्ड. दिस इंसिडेंट फोटोन गोज स्ट्रेट ऑन. बट व्हाट अबाउट द एनर्जी ऑफ द एटम? द एनर्जी ऑफ द एटम हैज बीन लोअर्ड. एंड व्हेन द एनर्जी ऑफ द एटम हैज बीन लोअर्ड, another photon has to be emitted. So one photon comes in and two photons go out, and both of those photons have the same frequency and they are totally in phase. Light also acts as a wave, so you can talk about the phase of a wave. That's how interference takes place. So both of these photons have exactly the same phase and they are traveling in exactly the same direction. This third process is called the process of stimulated emission. And it is the process of stimulated emission that makes a laser really work. ठीक है? तो spontaneous emission और stimulated emission में फर्क ये है कि an electron is excited in spontaneous emission, it falls down on its own. No one tells it to come down. When it comes down, there is no external agent that is dictating that the electron should come down. It's in an excited state, it has to relax to equilibrium, it comes down, it emits a photon. In stimulated emission, you need a seed. एक seed की या catalyst की जरूरत है, और वो catalyst एक photon है of tuned to the right frequency. It falls onto the excited atom and it triggers the emission of another photon, and the two photons then travel together. बिल्कुल हाथ से हाथ मिला के वो एक साथ कदम से कदम मिला के आगे चलते. That means they are in phase. So this is the process of stimulated emission. इनफैक्ट अगर आप फिजिक्स आगे पढ़ेंगे और आपको शौक होगा फिजिक्स पढ़ने का, तो आप देखेंगे नेचर के अंदर ना सिर्फ ये दो प्रोसेसेस होते हैं, एब्जॉर्प्शन और स्टिमुलेटेड एमिशन. और स्पॉन्टेनियस एमिशन जो है ना, वो भी दरअसल स्टिमुलेटेड एमिशन ही होती है. लेकिन स्पॉन्टेनियस एमिशन में जो स्टिमुलेंट है ना, वो वैक्यूम है. कि देखो, स्पॉन्टेनियस एमिशन की जब हम बात करते हैं तो हम ये कहते हैं कि देयर इज नो एक्सटर्नल फोटोन दैट इज हिटिंग द एटम एंड इट इज डी एक्साइटिंग, व्हिच मींस द एटम इज इन वैक्यूम. ठीक है, देयर इज नथिंग coming and touching and interacting with the atom. But even in vacuum there is energy. Even in vacuum there is energy, and this energy is called vacuum energy or vacuum fluctuations. And there are whenever there is energy and there is no matter, there have to be some photons. So there are photons in vacuum which carry this vacuum energy. They are virtual photons, and those photons actually de-excite the atom. So spontaneous emission is really stimulated emission if you go into the deep details. But for the case of convenience and for intuition, we have these three processes: absorption, stimulated emission, and spontaneous emission. All right, so now we have this physical model. Now let's introduce the language of mathematics on top of this physical model. You know, mathematics का सहारा तो लेना पड़ता है हर वक्त. उसके बगैर ना तो हम साइंटिस्ट बन सकते हैं, ना इंजीनियर बन सकते हैं. तो अब देखें, let's put this into the language of mathematics. Now there is absorption that is taking place, and absorption will have a certain rate. Let's call that rate R. R absorption. और R के यूनिट्स हैं per unit time. How many photons are being absorbed, which means how many electrons are going from the lower state to the upper state per unit time. अभी किन किन फैक्टर्स पे डिपेंड करता है बताइए. अब photons आ रहे हैं और एटम्स एक्साइट हो रहे हैं, तो when will the rate of absorption be higher? When the number of photons is large. What else? Frequency is correct. When the frequency is correct, which means the number of photons which have exactly the frequency f are available. What else? Electrons are in the shabash. When there are more electrons in the ground state and when there are more photons available of the correct frequency, you will have a higher rate of absorption. So the rate of absorption depends upon the number of electrons in the ground state N1 and the energy density of the radiation at the frequency f, rho f. And this we've derived from Planck's radiation. This we know what the functional form of this energy density is, and there has to be a constant of proportionality. Einstein called that constant of proportionality B12. 1-2 means going from 1 to 2. So this is a constant of proportionality. ठीक है, और इसके यूनिट्स आप देख सकते हैं. इसके यूनिट्स हैं जूल्स पर मीटर क्यूब पर हर्ट्ज. पर हर्ट्ज का मतलब सेकेंड न्यूमरेटर में चला जाएगा. इसके यूनिट्स हैं पर सेकेंड. ये दिस इज जस्ट अ नंबर. तो इसके यूनिट्स आप फाइंड आउट कर सकते हैं. मीटर क्यूब, जूल्स, सेकेंड स्क्वायर. So that your equation is dimensionally correct. Alright, so what is the rate of emission equal to? The emission comprises two kinds of processes, spontaneous and stimulated. तो पहले हम stimulated emission की बात करते हैं. Can you give me a similar form for stimulated emission? बिल्कुल इसी तरह की एक बताइए. What should I write for stimulated emission? Number of excited electrons, which is equal to N2. N2 आगे. The number of photons that are bathing the atom. कितने photons हैं atom को छेड़ने के लिए? और उस correct frequency के. That is why you have the energy density at this particular value of the frequency. And then you have a coefficient B21. Plus there is a process of spontaneous emission as well. What does spontaneous emission depend upon the number of photons available? No. It just depends upon the number of excited electrons, which is N2, and a constant of proportionality. And Einstein called this constant A. और A के dimensions होंगे 1/seconds. Because you want to have everything dimensionally correct, जनाब. No, it has to be the energy density at the particular frequency. So this is spectral energy density. Because the frequency of the photon exactly has to match the energy gap. ठीक है? तो स्पेक्ट्रल एनर्जी डेंसिटी के बारे में कंफ्यूजन्स हैं, वो आप दूर करें उन कंफ्यूजन्स को. और आपकी कंफ्यूजन्स बजा हैं, होती हैं ये कंफ्यूजन्स, सबको होती हैं. फिजिक्स के टेक्स्ट बुक राइटर्स को भी ये कंफ्यूजन्स हैं. डोंट वरी. ऑल राइट. सो दिस इज द रेट ऑफ एब्जॉर्प्शन, दिस इज द रेट ऑफ एमिशन. इन अ स्टेट ऑफ इक्विलिब्रियम बोथ ऑफ दीज रेट्स आर इक्वल. ठीक है? कैन यू इक्वेट दीज टू rates and solve the equation for the energy density. दोनों को इक्वेट करें and solve the equation for energy density. ये stimulated किया, ये spontaneous किया. ये कांस्टेंट है. नंबर ऑफ फोटॉन्स N2 है. एक करो ना.
सर N1 जो है नंबर ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन्स है या फोटॉन्स है?
इलेक्ट्रॉन्स है. सही. सही.
ये ठीक है.
ठीक है. अब तो ठीक है. कुछ समझ नहीं आ रही.
इसके वेट
मैंने जो सवाल पूछा था उसकी समझ आई थी? समझने की कोशिश की थी? इस तरह तो नहीं काम चलेगा.
क्वेश्चन रिपीट कर देंगे.
इक्विलिब्रियम में क्या होगा? When equilibrium is achieved, the rate of absorption and emission become equal. Right? So you can equate the absorption and the emission rates and solve the equation for the energy density. तो किया कुछ समझ आई मुझे? Electrons. This is the number of photons. This has the number of photons in it. ठीक है ये. We're going to see that. So you equate the two sides, you can find out what rho f is. Rho f is N2A N1 B12 minus N2 B21. All right, so let's divide the numerator and denominator by N2. We get A N1 over N2 B12 minus B21. But what is the Planck's formula? Are you able to hear me? No, you're not. Do you understand what I've done here? Now what is the Planck's formula? The Planck's formula for radiation at a certain temperature is simply 8 pi f squared c cube hf exponent hf kBt minus 1. This is the Planck's formula. But the spectral energy density that we compute from the equilibrium condition in this two-level system is given by this formula. Now what is N1 over N2? N1 is the number of atoms in the state N1 in the lower state, and N2 is the number of atoms in the upper state. So which one will be higher at equilibrium? At equilibrium, will N1 be higher or N2? It's a very basic question. We've looked at this question when we discussed the Boltzmann distribution. Which one of these will be higher? आप बताओ. हाँ. N1 higher होगा या N2 in equilibrium? Why? ये तो कोई बात ना हुई. किसकी एनर्जी इक्वल होगी? एनर्जी डेंसिटी की मैं बात नहीं कर रहा, मैं ये बात कर रहा हूं इक्विलिब्रियम पे विल N1 बी हायर और N2? बोथ ऑफ देम विल बी इक्वल. आप बताइए. राइट. सो इन अ स्टेट ऑफ इक्विलिब्रियम, if you leave the system in equilibrium, N1 will be higher because more atoms will be in the lower energy state. But why will there be any atoms in the excited state at all? Because these are basic questions in modern physics, basic questions. अब मैंने आपसे ये सवाल पूछा है, आपने ये मुझे कहा कि N1 will be greater than N2 in equilibrium because N1 is the lower energy state or 1 is the ground state, and systems would like to be in the ground state. So in equilibrium, N1 will be higher than N2. But why will N2 be non-zero in the first place? Why will some atoms, even in a state of equilibrium, would like to go to the excited state?
Some of them will have lesser energy than N1 will be normal.
Some of them will be in the ground state, some of them will be higher.
But why is the Boltzmann distribution correct? Why would some atoms like to go to the excited state at all? What is promoting the electrons to go to the higher state? Photons, right? Radiation photons or temperature. Radiation photons means temperature, and temperature gives you an energy. That every black body radiation, if you talk about black body radiation, that comprises photons, and the radiation carries energy. So the thermal energy can excite the atoms from the ground to the higher state. That is why there will be some N2 in the first place. Only at 0 Kelvin will N2 be 0. That is, the upper state will be totally vacant. ठीक है? तो equilibrium में there will be some N1 as well, but N2 will be higher than N1. Another question: what temperature do you need to place the atom at for N1 equals N2? What temperature do you need to place the atom at? Can N1 ever be equal to N2? देखो बेसिक फिजिक्स है ये, बेसिक फिजिक्स के क्वेश्चन है ये, आपको याद रहनी चाहिए चीज। मॉडर्न फिजिक्स में आप सब कुछ भूल जाएं, लेकिन कुछ बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट्स आपके साथ लगे रहने चाहिए। ये वो बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं। The question is, under certain conditions, N1 equals N2. What are those conditions? कोई हाथ खड़ा करके किसी को जवाब आता है इसका? टेम्परेचर कितना होना चाहिए? The women at the back, बताइए, what should the temperature be? Should it be low? Should it be high? Should be low. लो पे तो N2 बिल्कुल 0 हो जाता है. High. How high? Infinity. Only at infinite temperature will the equilibrium state be such that N1 equals N2. Only at infinite temperature. ठीक है? देखो टेम्परेचर क्या करेगा? एक्साइट कर देगा एटम्स को हायर स्टेट में, but because of emission the atoms will be de-excited, so there will be an equal number of atoms in the ground state and in the excited state. So only at infinite temperatures can we think of an equilibrium condition where the two states are equally populated, but we can always think of non-equilibrium situations. Equilibrium में हर चीज नहीं रहती, आप फोर्स कर सकते हैं किसी भी process को to be out of equilibrium, to be in a non-equilibrium condition, and that is what is happening in a laser. ठीक है? ये बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट समझ आ गए? कुछ पल्ले पड़ी बात?
So ये infinite temperature वाला मैं पॉइंट समझा दें कि जैसा what if we take 5000 Kelvin, 10,000 Kelvin, it is a high enough temperature. Why cannot N1 is equal to N2 at that temperature?
Well, N1 would be almost equal to 0. Of course, N1 would almost be equal to 0. Almost be equal to N1. N2 and N1 will almost be equal to one another at very high temperatures. G.
We know the increased temperature of certain element or atom beyond certain rate that the atom is ionized, the electron leaves the atom. And how is it possible that we will get the equilibrium state at infinite temperature?
Right. So theoretically, this is what you need to do. If you have an atom that is intact, an element that has not melted, that has not changed its state, because phase changes can always take place. That's another debate. But if an atom is there, for example, you have hydrogen gas on the sun. That's not even a molecule. That's hydrogen gas. Okay, you give it energy, it ionizes, it becomes a plasma. But if you have two energy levels, you put them at infinite temperature, only then can you achieve an equilibrium state where the two states are equally populated. So I'm not talking about these other phase transitions that can take place. Yes, you are right. But the levels become equally populated at temperature much lower than infinity. Infinity can never be achieved. Anyways, we have this Planck's radiation formula, and we have this formula from Einstein. Now this term N1 over N2 is a special term. This is the ratio of the populations of the atoms in the higher state and the ground state. And what is this equal to in a state of equilibrium? Equilibrium में 1 कैसे हो सकता है? ये तो मैं अभी बता रहा हूँ. This is not equal to 1. This is greater than 1. But what is it equal to? There's a formula for this. We've studied that formula. And that is the Boltzmann distribution. This ratio is given by exponent HF over KBT. This is in equilibrium. So this is the Boltzmann formula, the Boltzmann distribution. तो बोल्ट्जमैन डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन क्या कहता है कि इफ यू हैव एनर्जीज, दिस इज एनर्जी, यू हैव एनर्जी लेवल्स, this is the probability that a particular energy level is occupied. We've already seen this. Higher the energy, the smaller is the probability of occupancy of that state. The lower the energy, this is 0, lower the energy, the higher is the probability of occupancy. And the probability of occupancy is given by an exponential function. Sorry, n1 over n2 is this, right? And n2 over n1 is exponent minus hf over kBt. So this is a Boltzmann distribution. So you can either write this, or you can write n2 over n1 is exponent minus hf over kBt. Now let's insert this Boltzmann distribution into Einstein's result. You get the energy density becomes equal to A over B12 exponent hf over kBt minus B21. Now this is Einstein's result, and there we have Planck's result. Are the two comparable? Are the two comparable? Yes, the two are comparable if we make certain identifications. And those identifications are the following. B12 has to be equal to B21. The other identification is, let's call both of them equal to B. The other identification is A over B has to be equal to 8 pi h f cube over c cube. So if you make these substitutions, would the two formulas be exactly identical? And this was Einstein's result. This is the Einstein's A coefficient, this is Einstein's B coefficient. Einstein's A coefficient tells you the probability of spontaneous emission. Einstein's B coefficient tells you the probability of stimulated emission. And the probability of the stimulated emission is the same as the probability of absorption. Because both absorption and stimulated emission have the same value of B. So the proportionality constants are exactly identical for absorption and for stimulated emission. Alright, now let's look at something very interesting here. In a laser what we really require to have is the rate of spontaneous emission. Okay, what's the rate of spontaneous emission? B rho f n, the rate of stimulated emission. ये बात समझ आ रही है मैं क्या कर रहा हूं? यहां तक समझ आ गई जो मैंने किया? ए और बी क्या चीज है? देखिए, रेट ऑफ एब्जॉर्प्शन इज प्रोपोर्शनल टू n1 द एनर्जी डेंसिटी एंड अ कांस्टेंट ऑफ प्रोपोर्शनैलिटी. This is a constant of proportionality. This tells you the probability of absorption per unit time is equivalent to probability of absorption per unit time. It's proportional to the probability of absorption per unit time. This is the probability of stimulated emission per unit time. This is the probability of spontaneous emission per unit time. Now, if we look at the rate of absorption, it is given by B rho F N1. The rate of spontaneous emission is given by A N2, and the rate of stimulated emission is given by B rho F N2. Let's compare the ratio of the rate of stimulated emission versus the rate of spontaneous emission. The rates are, this is stimulated, this is spontaneous, B over A rho F. ठीक है, इन दोनों का रेशियो ले लिया, स्टिमुलेटेड का और स्पॉन्टेनियस का. दिस इज द रेशियो, एंड वी नो फ्रॉम दिस फॉर्मूला दैट रो एफ इक्वल्स ए ओवर बी एक्सपोनेंट एच एफ के बी टी माइनस 1. So B rho F over A is B rho F over A is 1 over exponent HF over KBT minus 1. Or let's, for the sake of argument, let's reverse this ratio. The rate of spontaneous emission versus the rate of stimulated emission is given by exponent HF over KBT minus 1. This means that as you increase the frequency, which is like saying that the energy levels are spaced further apart, that is what is meant by increasing the frequency F. That is, the gap is larger. If you increase the gap, the rate of spontaneous emission becomes stronger and stronger as compared to the rate of stimulated emission. In a laser, what we really would like to have is a dominant stimulated emission. In a laser is an acronym, as you all know, for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. You all know that? Do you know that? Yes. All right, you don't? That's good. So laser is basically light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Now before I go back to the mathematics, let me motivate you what a laser is constructed like, so that you understand what is happening in a laser, so that these equations can start making sense to you. So what is a laser? Laser basically is a cavity It could be a cylindrical cavity, the simplest form of a laser, and the cavity is made of a certain material. For example, in 1960 the material was ruby. You can think of any material that can laze. अब लेज एक वर्ब के तौर पे भी इस्तेमाल होता है, लेज. अ मटीरियल लेजर्स, ठीक है, वो लेजर के तौर पे काम कर सकता है. So this is some active medium which can laze. You have a cylindrical cavity which is an active medium of a certain length L. On one end of the cavity you have a mirror which is totally reflecting, which reflects all the light that falls onto it. So this is a totally reflecting mirror. And on the other end you have a mirror that is only partially reflecting, that reflects some light and transmits the rest. So this is a partially reflecting mirror. So what is happening inside the laser is that you have atoms inside the lasing medium, the active medium. Somehow an atom is excited. So the upper level is populated. You can excite the atom by optical means, by electrical means, or by temperature. Somehow the atom is excited. And when it is excited, it has to come down because of spontaneous emission. It will come down because of spontaneous emission with a rate R spontaneous, which is proportional to Einstein's A coefficient. It will come down and it will emit a photon of the frequency HF. It will emit a photon of the frequency HF. Now if there is another atom nearby which is also in the excited state, if there is another atom nearby that is also in the excited state to start off with, this spontaneously emitted photon can trigger a stimulated emission reaction, and it can stimulate the emission of another photon from the neighboring atom, and the original photon also goes unimpeded. ठीक है, चले उर्दू में बता देता हूँ, समझ मुझे भी आएगी आपको भी आएगी, उर्दू जरा आसान है. देखो ये एक एटम है जो एक्साइट किया जा चुका था किसी वजह से, ठीक है, इसमें इलेक्ट्रॉन एक्साइटेड स्टेट में है, ये डाउनग्रेड हुआ, डी एक्साइट हुआ और इसने फोटोन एमिट किया बिकॉज ऑफ spontaneous emission. Now the photon is available, it has the frequency HF. Another atom is nearby, उसका भी वही एनर्जी लेवल स्ट्रक्चर है, क्योंकि सारे एटम्स एक जैसे हैं, पूरे भाईचारा एटम्स के दरमियान, all of them are totally identical. ठीक है, they're not like humans, every 5 उंगलियां एक सी नहीं होती, they are all exactly identical atoms. Now this has the same energy spacing. A spontaneously emitted photon strikes the atom. Now if this atom is already excited, somehow, then a stimulated emitted photon is triggered by stimulated emission. Stimulated emission का process होगा, ठीक है. तो ये जो white photon है stimulated emitted photon है, और ये जो yellow photon है ये original photon है. So now if these two photons, they have exactly the same frequency and they're totally in phase and they're traveling in the same direction, ठीक है. So this is the property of stimulated emission. If there is another atom nearby, exactly the same structure, and the atom is somehow in the excited state already, then each of these photons can trigger a spontaneously emitted photon reaction. So from this yellow photon originate a new photon as well as the original photon, and from this white photon, even though all photons are identical, you can't tell which one is white and which one is yellow. They're all the same. They are the same color. Only on the blackboard they are different colors. So this photon will trigger the emission of another stimulated emitted photon, and you will get two photons, and now all four of them are in phase. and all 4 of them are traveling in the same direction and have exactly the same frequency. So a chain reaction, an avalanche of stimulated emitted photons builds up. From 1 you get 2, 4, 8, 16, the number quadratically increases. Okay? And when you have a large number of photons that are moving all in the same direction and they're being reflected back from this partially reflecting mirror, they start moving backwards and they gradually build up the number of photons, and a large train of photons, all of them moving together, all of them having the same frequency, all of them having the same phase, all of them being coherent, starts moving inside the laser cavity. And so you have a very large number of a beam of photons, totally coherent, moving inside the cavity to and fro. And since this is a partially reflecting mirror, some of these beams go straight out, and a very intense beam is produced because there is such a large number of photons, and all of them are in phase. There is no destructive interference. All of them are acting together. Okay? And they have the same frequency. So this light is called laser light, and it has 3 properties. First, it's coherent. Coherent एक बड़ा मुश्किल लफ्ज़ है, इसको मैं आराम से आपको कभी बैठ के बताऊंगा कोहेरेंट का क्या मतलब है. अगर मैंने शुरू कर दिया तो वक्त गुजर जाएगा. कोहेरेंट है, मोनोक्रोमैटिक है लाइट मोस्टली. The light is of a single frequency, and that frequency is determined by the internal structure of the atom, and the light is moving in a straight, it's highly collimated. So these are 3 basic properties of a laser. But the requirement is, if you look carefully enough, what I've said something very in a pedestrian fashion, which means एक बात मैंने की, वो बड़ी बात थी लेकिन मैंने खामोशी से की ताकि आप ज़्यादा चौंके ना. और वो बात ये थी कि the requirement is that most of these atoms must already be excited. But that is not what equilibrium would dictate. Equilibrium says that most of the atoms are in the ground state. And if most of the atoms are in the ground state, a photon that is emitted will cause an absorption. It will not cause an emission. So somehow we have to achieve a condition in which most of the atoms are in the excited state to start off with, so that stimulated emission can dominate. Therefore, we have to achieve a non-equilibrium condition. We have to invert the population. This is called population inversion. So in order for a laser to work, we know that light is amplified. Why is light amplified? Because of stimulated emission and because of multiple reflections. That is how light is amplified. So a laser is an amplifier of light, and that's an optical amplifier. We must have stimulated emission that is dominating. The dominant mode of emission must be stimulated emission. If you have spontaneous emission, light will not be coherent. देखो ये जो ट्यूब लाइट से लाइट हमारी आंखों तक पहुंच रही है, ये भी तो लाइट है ना, इसका क्या कसूर, ये भी तो लाइट है, बट इट्स नॉट कोहेरेंट. ये कोहेरेंट नहीं है लाइट. एक एटम अगर जो इसमें से एमिट कर रहा है लाइट को, अगर उसकी आप वेव देखें तो it has a certain frequency. At a certain point in time, it instantly changes its phase. At another point in time, it changes its phase again. At another point in time, it changes its phase. So it's constantly switching its phase. This light is incoherent. This is what is meant by temporal incoherence. Incoherent in time. Light ये भी है, ठीक है, आदमी तुम भी हो, आदमी मैं भी हूँ, लाइट ये भी है, मगर ये spontaneously emitted photons हैं, इसलिए this light is not coherent. This light is not coherent. The light from a laser, however, is coherent because it is stimulated emission that is dominating. So we really need to have a very large stimulated emission rate, and that is only possible when you can go into this population inversion state, that is break equilibrium somehow. And breaking equilibrium means that N2 must be larger than N1. So if you look at this relationship, we know that for a laser to work, spontaneous emission has to be smaller than stimulated emission. But if you increase the frequency, the rate of spontaneous emission goes up, which means that a large number of atoms are de-excited and they emit spontaneously emitted photons which have a total phase randomness, and you cannot get laser light. So for high frequencies, it's very difficult to get laser light. The first laser that was built was at a lower frequency than visible light, and that was what was called a maser. और मेजर एम का मतलब माइक्रोवेव. जब दूसरी जंग अजीम हो रही थी, ठीक है, जिसमें 60 लाख लोग कम से कम हलाक हो गए थे, ठीक है, तो रेडार की टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलप हो रही थी, खासतौर पे ब्रिटेन में, और जर्मनी में रेडार को जैम करने की टेक्नोलॉजी डेवलप हो रही थी, ठीक है. तो रेडार्स काम करते हैं माइक्रोवेव्स पर. तो स्टिमुलेटेड एमिशन अचीव हो गई थी विद माइक्रोवेव्स. माइक्रोवेव भी तो इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक रेडिएशन है ना, बट ऑफ लोअर फ्रीक्वेंसी देन विजिबल लाइट. माइक्रोवेव्स की जो रजीम है 1 मिलीमीटर है उसकी वेवलेंथ तकरीबन. तो मेजर्स वर बीइंग मेड. सो लोअर द फ्रीक्वेंसी, इट इज easier to achieve a dominant mode of stimulated emission. So masers were built before lasers. That is why we have masers used in radars. जो लाहौर के अंदर वेदर फोरकास्टिंग स्टेशन, आपको शादमान में एक बड़ा से गुंबद नजर आ रहा है, उसमें एक रेडार चल रहा है, ठीक है ना, वो भी मेजर्स पे काम करता है. ठीक है, मेजर्स भी बन चुके. लेजर विजिबल लाइट के हम इस्तेमाल करते हैं, आपने लेबोरेटरी में भी इस्तेमाल किया है गैस लेजर, ठीक है. तो विजिबल लाइट के साथ भी लेजर्स अवेलेबल हैं, इंफ्रारेड के साथ भी अवेलेबल है, और ऑप्टिकल कम्युनिकेशन में इंफ्रारेड लेजर्स इस्तेमाल होते हैं 50 नैनोमीटर्स के करीब की वेवलेंथ के. However, it is extremely difficult to make X-ray lasers. It is extremely difficult to make X-ray lasers because of the very high frequency and the dominant mode of spontaneous emission. Somehow you have to make stimulated emission dominate over spontaneous emission. So now how do we make that happen? How do we realize the dominance of stimulated emission? Suppose you have a two-level system, that is, an atom has two energy levels, which of course is impossible, but we can consider two levels inside an atom which has many levels. You have a two-level system, 1 and 2 are the energy levels. Suppose the population here is N1, the population here is N2. Suppose a photon comes in of the correct frequency. The electron is excited to the higher state. So if you have a large number of N1, large N1, which is the equilibrium condition, you have a large N1, which is the equilibrium condition. You put in a lot of photons. After a certain period of time, the number N2 will start going up. Okay? And because these electrons are now being excited, the number of electrons N2 is going up, but still N1 is greater than N2, and you can never achieve a condition in which N2 is greater than N1, because as the atoms are being excited, R absorbed goes up. But when R absorbed goes up, our spontaneous emission also goes up because N2 is increasing. Because N2 is increasing, and of course R stimulated is also going up, because R absorbed and R stimulated are both depend on the same coefficient beta, same coefficient B, but you can never achieve a condition in which N2 exceeds N1. The best you can achieve is N2 equals N1, because higher the number of electrons that are promoted to the upper state, the higher will be their rate of coming downwards, by spontaneous emission or by stimulated emission. So you can never achieve an out of equilibrium condition with a two-level system. So all hopes of making a two-level laser fade away and disappear. We cannot make a laser from a two-level system. In order to achieve this non-equilibrium condition, we have to build from at least a three-level system. And how do we build a laser from a three-level system? Suppose I have three levels: E1, 1, 2 and 3. Now this is an excited state and this is an excited state. In equilibrium, this state, the lower state, is dominantly populated with some electrons here and with an even fewer number of electrons here, because of the Boltzmann distribution. Higher the energy, the lower the occupancy of that state, and the occupancy is given by the Boltzmann distribution. So what happens is this energy gap is E2 minus E1. You excite the atoms by this much energy. You excite the atoms by this much energy so that a large number of electrons go into the excited state. But still the number N2 can never exceed N1. Because if you keep on increasing N2, that is, you keep on doing this pumping process. This is called pumping. You keep on doing the pumping process, N2 goes up, but the rate of spontaneous emission also goes up. And the rate of stimulated emission also goes up, but the stimulated emission can never win the race over absorption. It can never win the race. You can never get light amplification. So what happens here is we borrow strength. We take strength from a third level. हम उसकी मदद हासिल करते हैं थर्ड लेवल की, और इसकी एक स्पेशल प्रॉपर्टी है इस थर्ड लेवल की. जब भी एटम एक एक्साइटेड स्टेट में होगा, it has to come down by spontaneous emission, and there is a coefficient, as you know, A, associated with the rate of spontaneous emission. इसके units क्या हैं? 1 over seconds. So if you take 1 over A, this has the dimensions of time. Let's call 1 over A tau. Tau is what is called the lifetime of the state. ठीक है, tau स्टेट की लाइफ टाइम है. सही. जब एक एटम एक्साइट होता है, वो ऑन एवरेज डी एक्साइट होता है. ऑन एवरेज द टाइम इट स्टेज इन द एक्साइटेड स्टेट इज कॉल्ड द लाइफ टाइम. ठीक है, जिस तरह रेडियो एक्टिविटी है, उसकी एटम की एक लाइफ टाइम है, जिसे हाफ लाइफ से मेजर करते हैं. तो द एवरेज टाइम इन विच एन एटम कैन रिमेन एक्साइटेड इज कॉल्ड द लाइफ टाइम, एंड इट इज इनवर्सली प्रोपोर्शनल टू द आइंस्टाइन कोएफिशिएंट A. Now all states have a lifetime. This state has a short lifetime, say of the order of 10 raised to power minus 8 to 10 raised to power minus 10 seconds. A very short lifetime. So when an atom is excited into this level 2, it has a short lifetime, and it comes back, and it can come back to the ground state, or it can come back to this state. So when it falls back, when the electrons fall into the state in the third state, this state has a longer lifetime. This state has a longer lifetime. It's called a metastable state. It's a lifetime of typically 10 raised power minus 4 to 10 raised power minus 5 seconds. 2 to 3 orders of magnitude longer than the short-lived state. तो अब क्या हो रहा है? Effectively क्या process हो रहा है? You're pumping in energy equal to this. You're pumping in energy equal to this. अब ये बात ध्यान से सुने. आप पंप कर रहे हैं एनर्जी इक्वल टू दिस. ठीक है? अब स्पॉन्टेनियस एमिशन हो रही है, वो इलेक्ट्रॉन स्पॉन्टेनियसली एमिट हो रहे हैं, कोई उनसे घबराने की जरूरत नहीं, लेकिन वो लेजिंग एक्शन कॉज नहीं कर रहे. और ऑप्टिकल पंपिंग ज्यादा से ज्यादा इलेक्ट्रॉन्स को इस हायर स्टेट में रख रही है, कंटिन्यूसली पंप कर रही है इस स्टेट में. लेकिन जब ये एक शॉर्ट लिव्ड स्टेट है, बिकॉज इट्स अ शॉर्ट लिव्ड स्टेट, a large number of electrons will fall into the metastable state. And when they fall into the metastable state, they can stay there for longer periods of time. They can stay there for longer periods of time. And when they stay there for longer periods of time, what we have actually achieved is a population inversion between level 3 and level 1. देखो एक चीज हो क्या रहा है, दिस इज अ लॉन्ग लिव्ड स्टेट. इफेक्टिवली क्या हो रहा है कि दिस अ रैपिड प्रोसेस ऑफ टेकिंग ऑल ऑफ दीज इलेक्ट्रॉन्स एंड मूविंग देम टू 3. दिस प्रोसेस इज हैपनिंग वेरी रैपिडली बिकॉज दिस इज अ फास्ट डिके. दिस इज अ फास्ट डिके. तो आप बहुत रैपिडली इलेक्ट्रॉन्स की एक बड़ी तादाद लेवल 3 में फेंक रहे हैं, एंड दे आर स्टेइंग इन लेवल 3 फॉर लॉन्गर पीरियड्स ऑफ टाइम. And when they're staying in this level for longer periods of time, you have achieved a population inversion between level 3 and level 1. ठीक है? तो ये एक फास्ट प्रोसेस है और ये एक स्लो डिके है. एक मिनट. दिस इज अ स्लो डिके. Excellent question. ठीक है, this is a fast decay and this is a slow decay. When pumping is fast, which means electrons are coming into this level at a higher rate than they are going out. When electrons are coming into this level at a higher rate than they are going out, this means that with time the population of this level is increasing with respect to N1. ठीक है? And when this population is inverted between level 3 and level 1, a spontaneously emitted photon between these levels can trigger stimulated emission reactions. So you need the first seed. पहला बारिश का कतरा चाहिए, वो एक spontaneously emitted photon होगा between level 3 and 1 that will trigger a chain of stimulated emission events. And this is the lasing transition. So light that is emitted is laser light at this frequency. The frequencies which is the energy gap between 3 and 1. This is the lasing transition and this is the pumping transition. And the key is that you need this to be a fastly decaying state and this you need to be a slowly decaying state. And the student has asked a beautiful question. The question is that why can't we excite the electrons directly to the state 3? Can anyone think? Then we have effectively a two-level system. We have effectively a two-level system and the same argument would apply. So we cannot expect lasing action to occur if we have direct pumping between level 1 and 3, because as a result you can never achieve population inversion between 1 and 2. You can never achieve population inversion between 1 and 2. However, because of the different lifetimes of these states, you can achieve a population inversion between 3 and 1. The last point where I would like to finish this discussion. So the ruby laser was of this kind. You pumped a transition with a certain wavelength. This wavelength is 550 nanometers and this is 6, I think 694 nanometers. So the laser light is at 694 nanometers. आपने जो लैब में लेजर इस्तेमाल किया वो हीनी लेजर था, वो 633 नैनोमीटर्स की लेजरिंग ट्रांजिशन थी. हाउ डू वी अचीव पंपिंग? उसकी एक सिंपल डायग्राम मैं आपको स्कीमेटिक बना के दिखा दूं. रूबी लेजर ऐसे था कि एक रूबी का रॉड था. रूबी क्या होता है? रूबी क्या है? एक जेम है और एक कंपाउंड है. वो क्या है कंपाउंड? देखो, एल्यूमिना, एल्यूमिनियम ऑक्साइड, जिसमें कुछ एल्यूमिनियम एटम्स को सब्स्टिट्यूट कर दिया गया है क्रोमियम से. उसी से कलर आता है. एल्यूमिना कलरलेस होता है, एल्यूमिना का कोई कलर नहीं होता. उसमें कुछ एल्यूमिनियम एटम्स को रिप्लेस करके ना क्रोमियम डाल देते हैं, डोप कर देते हैं. दिस इज रूबी. अब ये जो रूबी है ना, ये रूबी की एक रॉड है. इसके इर्द गिर्द एक लैंप है. और पावर सप्लाई है, हाई वोल्टेज पावर सप्लाई. ठीक है, इसको कहते हैं फ्लैश लैंप. फ्लैश लैंप सडन बर्स्ट ऑफ एनर्जी, सडन बर्स्ट ऑफ फोटॉन्स देता है. ठीक है, जिस तरह आप गाड़ी चलाते हुए आपके पास जीनॉन या फ्लड लाइट्स होती हैं, फ्लड लैंप्स होते हैं, वो एक फ्लैश लैंप की तरह. ये फ्लैश गन की जो लाइट है वो फ्लैश लैंप है. वो सडन बर्स्ट ऑफ एनर्जी इन अ स्मॉल पीरियड ऑफ टाइम देता है. और वो उसकी वेवलेंथ 550 नैनोमीटर के करीब एक डोमिनेंट वेवलेंथ होती है उसकी. दिस इज नॉट अ लेजर. दिस जस्ट एक्साइट्स और पंप्स द फोटॉन्स फ्रॉम लेवल 1 to level 2. This is the pumping mechanism. So this kind of pumping is called optical pumping. ठीक है, तो रूबी में ऑप्टिकल पंपिंग होती है. हीनी लेजर जो आपने लैब में इस्तेमाल किया उसमें एक पावर सप्लाई लगती है, वो इलेक्ट्रिकल डिस्चार्ज के जरिए पंपिंग करता है, वो गैस लेजर है. There are different kinds of lasers. So you have optical pumping. This side is coated with the perfectly reflecting mirror. This side is coated with the partially reflecting mirror, and light comes out of the ruby laser. And it comes out in flashes. It's a pulsed laser. On hota hai, off hota hai, on hota hai, off hota hai. This is an example of a pulsed laser. So you provided energy through the pumping process and the medium lasers. The thing that I would like to finish off with is you can have a system, a 4-level laser. This level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. This is a fast decay. This is a fast decay. This is a slow decay. Fast means large value of A. Large value of A. So you pump between these levels and you get lasering transition between levels 4 and level 3s and level 4. This is laser light at this frequency, E3 minus E4 over H. This is your lasering frequency. The question I would like to ask, and we'll finish there, which of these schemes, whether the 3-level scheme or the 4-level scheme, is easier to maintain? Easier to maintain means providing laser light for a longer period of time without much pumping power. Which of these is easier? 4. Why?
Because we can create a greater difference between 3 and 4.
I'm really very happy to listen to such a good response and you. But does anyone understand what he said?
डिफरेंस कम हो जाएगा.
डिफरेंस किसके दरमियान कम होगा? नहीं, वो उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा.
सर लोअर लेवल में से इलेक्ट्रॉन निकलते जा रहे हैं तो एक्साइटेड है वो ज़्यादा.
वेरी गुड. एक वजह ये है. दूसरी वजह ये है कि इस 3-level सिस्टम में देखें, यू हैव अ लेजरिंग ट्रांजिशन बिटवीन लेवल 3 एंड अ ग्राउंड स्टेट, एंड द ग्राउंड स्टेट इज वेरी हैवीली पॉपुलेटेड टू स्टार्ट ऑफ विद. Because it's the ground state, the Boltzmann distribution tells that N1 should be very high. Therefore, this population inversion is difficult to achieve. एक high population N1 को आप deplete करना चाह रहे हैं, उसको आप कम करना चाह रहे हैं. और पॉपुलेशन इन्वर्जन अचीव करना चाह रहे हैं। यहां पर इस पर्टिकुलर केस में दिस लोअर लेजिंग लेवल 4 लेवल इज नॉट द ग्राउंड स्टेट, therefore the population of this level is smaller than the population of level 1 to start off with, therefore it's easier to maintain population inversion। देखो population inversion को maintain भी रखना है। जब आपने लैब में लेजर इस्तेमाल किया उससे लाइट कंटिन्यूसली निकल रही थी, वो पल्स्ड लेजर नहीं था, वो एक कंटिन्यूस वेव लेजर था। So continuous wave lasers generally use this 4 level scheme because less optical pumping power is required and it's easier to maintain a population inversion. So this finishes our discussion of lasers. Next time on Friday it's going to be a very important lecture because we're going to talk about a father and a son. जी Friday को I will give